Canadian sporting pride runs deep, rooted in the traditions of Stanley Cup champions, from the Canadiens to the Oilers. Montreal hosted an Olympic Games, while Joe Carter and the Blue Jays brought baseball's greatest prize to Toronto, and Donovan Bailey captured Olympic gold in Atlanta for his adopted homeland. Canadian motorsports has a tradition of its own. Gilles Villeneuve lived fast and died young, leaving 6 Formula One Grand Prix wins and an army of fans that will forever remember the Villeneuve flair in a Ferrari. He also left a son named Jacques, who leads the World Driving Championship as Formula One returns to Montreal, where the Villeneuve legacy lives on in both father and son.
Well, that's right, Bob. The legend of Gilles Villeneuve is very much alive here in Canada. And now with the emergence of Jacques Villeneuve, the locals here are calling it La Passion. And I can tell you, there's quite a few passionate fans here waiting for their new hero, Jacques Villeneuve, this weekend.
Thank you, Jonathan. How appropriate on this Father's Day weekend that fathers and sons should be the theme of Round 7 of the Formula One World Championship. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha. Glad to be back in the host seat for the next couple of rounds of the World Driving Championship. Welcome to the Ile Notre Dame, the St. Lawrence River in Montreal, Canada. The circuit named for the late Gilles Villeneuve. His son Jacques is one of the stars as the Formula One World Driving Championship comes to Canada. Montreal once billed itself as friendly, familiar, foreign, and near. It is all of those things. Virtually a different country, French-speaking, and an easy drive from many parts of North America. Today, the Ile Notre Dame and the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve host the Formula One Grand Prix of Canada for the 19th time, although it is the 30th anniversary celebration of the first Formula One Grand Prix of Canada, which took place at the Mosport Park Circuit, not far away from Montreal. You're looking live at the starting grid as the teams and drivers line up. There is the man, Jacques Villeneuve, that this sellout crowd will be behind throughout the day. But earlier this week, on Wednesday, he was called from Montreal back to the headquarters of the FIA in Paris, and he very nearly was not here this weekend, Derek.
Well, Bob, when you sign your super license application form, you undertake that you'll not bring the sport into disrepute. Well, the trouble is, when you're a racing driver and you get out of a racing car, you're really hot, you're pumped up, and you're inclined to say things you regret later. We're all entitled to our opinions, of course, and I believe that Jacques' criticism of the rules for 1998 are justified, particularly as he's driven the tires, but I guess it was just the way that he said it. The people that make the rules, they don't drive the cars, and in the way they should listen to the drivers. The drivers are very headstrong, they're personalities, but they don't unite as one over these issues, and I think that is where the problem lies. However, to summon Jacques to the FIA hearing in Paris in race week, when he was already in Canada, is very unfair, and I think rather a reckless thing for the FIA to do. After all, he was here to prepare for a race. But Jacques Villeneuve is not the first person to cross swords with the FIA. Many great divers have done so over the years. On his return to Montreal, he was asked, "Does this now mean you've basically been attacked and turned into another Formula One robot?" This was his answer.
No, I haven't been asked to change my views or to stop saying them, but only to choose better words when it comes to, you know, the bad words that you're supposed to just keep at home, basically. So that was the reason for me being in Paris. I don't know if my saying of what I believe annoys them or not, but you know, as long as you don't say that you know, the regulations are stupid and stuff like that, it's okay. So you just have to think better on how to say things, and you know, instead of talking when you get out of the car and you're all excited and you don't really think straight anyway, it's good to maybe take a deep breath and speak a little bit slower and think more about the words you're using.
Well, Jacques Villeneuve made that one-day trip to Paris in a business jet loaned to him by a Canadian company. The Canadians desperately wanted their favorite son on the grid for today's race. After all, he is the points leader by 3 over the man he will start next to, Michael Schumacher. Now, these drivers are all strongly opinionated. They are terrific personalities. Eddie Jordan has 2 terrific young drivers in his team, Giancarlo Fisichella, and the man standing by with Jonathan Green right now, Ralf Schumacher.
Well, Ralf Schumacher's had an interesting start to his season. You've only finished one race, but you were on the podium.
Well, yeah, and that's the only thing why I'm quite satisfied still. I mean, to be honest, we were every race on pace, but we had some bad luck, and once in Monaco I missed it up by myself, and so we're looking forward now for the rest of the season to finish a few races in the points.
You look very comfortable, are you?
Well, I'm still very comfortable because, I mean, the car is still good on pace, so shouldn't be a big problem. To score a few points, that would be great, yeah.
Thank you.
We'll start in the number 7 spot for today's race. As you see, the world feed has already begun to give the starting lineup. We'll have our own in just a moment. Stand by for more live flag-to-flag coverage of the Formula One Grand Prix of Canada. There is a sellout crowd on hand and an absolute carnival atmosphere here on the Ile Notre Dame. Young and old, including some IndyCar drivers such as Dario Franchitti and Mark Blundell, who knows what it's all about.
It's fun, it's fast, it's Formula One.
Villeneuve, there's Ralf Schumacher's car being prepared as we are just moments away from the roll-off, and then the green light for round 7 of the World Driving Championship. Now, one man who will not start today's race is the senior citizen of the sport. As you look at Alain Prost, one of his former contemporaries, Gerhard Berger, will not be on the starting grid. That's been one of the stories of the weekend. Gerhard came to North America last week by way of New York City, where the host of RPM Tonight, Kenny Mayne, caught up with him. In this edition of Off Track Buzz, Kenny talks with Gerhard Berger.
New York City is supposed to be an exciting town, but it seems all you're doing is working here. Not having any fun yet, are you?
Well, yeah, normally I have a part of the time work, a part of the time fun. This time it looks not too good. Seems to be just work.
Seems to be more of the work. In the past, in your career, would you say you've had more fun or done more work?
Unfortunately, in the past I had more fun. You know, the work gets dominating in my life.
Are those days gone? Because the image of the F1 as the rock stars showing up and, you know, the fans screaming and all the nightlife and all that, is that all behind you?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's behind Formula One. It's not behind me. I still have it a bit sometimes, but in Formula One it disappeared. Yeah.
So we don't have the same spirit in that sport? Is it the new generation? Is it just everybody's getting old? What's going on?
They are boring, yeah. It's true. The new generation, forget them.
You haven't gotten boring?
No, not yet. But the sport changed in a big way. It is more professional. It is more money involved. It is more pressure. It is more responsibility. So at the end of the day, it takes away all from the fun.
You've had some adjustments to make with the vehicle. You've also had some adjustments to make with your sinuses. What's going on there?
Well, I had a quite heavy problem. I get an infection in the sinus and couldn't get rid of it yet. I had an operation last week and I'm still fighting with it.
And you haven't been in a car since the problem, right? You raced and then you haven't been in a car again?
I was racing the last races already with the problem. And from the last race until now I wasn't in the car because I was basically in the hospital and I had this sinus problem.
But is there any truth to the rumors about you considering coming to American racing, whether it be kart, IRL, or even World of Outlaws? Who knows?
It's funny, this rumors is coming more and more, but it's not coming from myself. It is not more today than it was 2 years ago. I always was looking a bit to America. I would like to go and live a little bit here. I love it here. I would like to race a bit here, but I like very much the atmosphere in the IndyCar. I like NASCAR. But the other side, I have no experience on ovals. Everybody has to go through a learning curve. Everybody has quite heavy accidents there, especially in the beginning. And I don't know if I need this or not.
Is F1 up here and kart here and Winston Cup there, or are they really just all pretty similar? Well,
now everybody likes to hear, especially around my world, no, Formula One is the best and the others. I don't see it this way. I see Formula One very, very complex, especially technically. So technically is a very difficult thing. But the question is how many people see the complex technical side. And if you look to the races, if you look to their kart race, they're looking good. So I would charge them in a similar way. I think racing is racing. If you are a good racing driver, you drive every car quick, and otherwise you are not a good racing car driver. In the moment, I love Formula One, and I see myself in a Formula One car, but I don't know tomorrow if I'm gonna sit in a NASCAR or if I'm just staying on the beach and look a bit about nice girls.
Speaking of girls, you have a few of your own, is that true?
Yes, I have 3.
Just had a new one?
Yeah,
I mean,
2 months.
Young one.
2 months, a young one, yeah.
What's her name?
One is Heidi, one is Sarah, one is Christina.
Would you tell them racing is a good thing for them to get into, or is that not a good,
no, they're girls.
Good sport for
they're
them?
girls, not boys.
There are women racing in the U.S.
Yeah, but it's not. it's not the right thing to do, I think.
All right, well, good luck up in Montreal. Appreciate all your time.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. As mentioned, Gerhard will not start the race. He'll be replaced by his young Austrian countryman, Alex Wirtz, who will start 11th. Earlier, Jonathan Green spoke with him.
Well, Alex Wirtz, you really do have some big footsteps to follow in. Gerhard Berger, one of the most experienced men in Formula One.
Yeah, of course, but you know, on one side I'm very happy to have my Grand Prix debut here, but I expected a little difference because of course my job is this year as a test and spare driver, but it's the cockpit of Gerhard Berger and we're both Austrians, so there's some funny stories around which are absolutely not true. I'm replacing Gerhard because he is ill, and as soon as he's recovered, it's his cockpit again. But I tried to do my best job to replace him in a good way.
Nervous?
I was a bit nervous 2 hours before the first session, but I talked to myself, it's no reason to be nervous, just relax, sit down, make the same job and as you make it in testing, and then it's okay.
Good luck indeed to Alex Wirtz, who had one of those heavy crashes that Gerhard Berger talked about in yesterday's qualifying, but he is ready to go today. There you look down on one of the Jordan cars. There's Ralf Schumacher, buckled in and ready to go. Now, in the last 3 weeks, we've moved from the Circuit de Catalunya at Barcelona, one of the most abrasive tracks of the season, led to some blistered tires and a lot of controversy. This weekend, Derek Bell, we're on one of the least abrasive circuits, and once again, tires have been the story.
Absolutely. 2.7 miles this circuit. In fact, it's on public roads, and therefore it's very green and, of course, very slippery. The dust is on the X's of all the corners, ready to catch anyone, getting a little bit ragged. You see here Damon Hill just doing that. The surface of the track is very smooth. In fact, 50% of the circuit has been completely resurfaced. But inevitably, there aren't too many places to overtake. But in fact, the circuit consists of some high-speed chicanes, high-speed braking into slow corners, so it'll be hard on the brakes, but equally hard on the transmission and tires, while they search for grip. Traction and terminal speed, of course, being all important, so precise driving is so vital on exiting the chicanes. Of all the corners, the casino happens to be the most important. Main straight coming up is 200 miles an hour, braking into that last chicane. A lot of overtaking just here. So this is right here is where a lot of the overtaking will happen. Then, of course, we go out to start our timed lap. A very exciting circuit, but let's go down to David Coulthard with track setup.
Well, Montreal is a unique circuit in that we have a combination of very high-speed straights and a lot of chicanes, which means that brake wear is a big issue here. You run quite low downforce on the car. As you can see on the brakes here, we have to run quite big brake ducts to get as much cooling as possible. And that's a real issue for the race, because you're trying here, as it's not that abrasive a surface, you're trying here to minimize the amount of stops that you're actually doing. So that puts extra pressure on the brakes if you're running more fuel. The other thing, of course, that I mentioned there about the straights is that very important to have good top-end power. We have the new F engine, which is hidden under the bodywork there. It is producing considerably more horsepower than our standard engine, so that's going to help us probably a good half a second or so in qualifying, which is obviously a healthy advantage to have on a track like this. And generally, it's just a battle to try and get the mechanical setup right so you can run low wing, be quick on the straights, and have stability under braking.
All right, thank you. The cars are rolling off. Now let's take a look at the starting grid for today's race, the Grand Prix of Canada. On the pole for the first time this year, the first time anything other than a Williams has been on the pole for the last 10 races. Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari, but just 9th quickest in the morning warm-up with race fuel and tires. Next to him, Jacques Villeneuve, who says that the Williams has lost its aerodynamic advantage over the field on this track. He was 7th quickest in the warm-up. On row 2, Rubens Barrichello, best ever qualifying performance for the Stewart Ford. He'll be next to Heinz Harald Frentzen, 13th and 10th in the warm-up respectively. On row 3, a pair of very quick starters, David Coulthard in the McLaren Mercedes and Giancarlo Fisichella equaling his best qualifying performance effort, 2nd and 3rd quickest in the warm-up. On row 4, Ralf Schumacher in the Jordan and Jean Alesi, whose qualifying woes continue in the Benetton Renault, 6th and 4th this morning. On row 5, Mika Hakkinen in the 2nd McLaren and Olivier Panis in the Prost Mugen Honda. On row 6, Alex Wirtz subbing for Gerhard Berger and Eddie Irvine in the 2nd Ferrari. On row 7, Johnny Herbert in the Sauber Petronas. And next to him, Jos Verstappen, Jos the boss from Holland in the Tyrrell Ford. On row 8, Damon Hill, who spun in qualifying, took the backup car, could not get a quicker lap. He'll be alongside his Arrows teammate, Pedro Diniz. On row 9, Mika Salo. Is he headed for Ferrari? He's in the Tyrrell Ford today. He'll be alongside Gianni Morbidelli in the Sauber Petronas. He has been confirmed for the season, replacing Nicola Larini. On row 10 will be Shinji Nakano of the Prost Mugen Honda team with the exact same time as Jarno Trulli in his Minardi Hart. And on row 11, Jan Magnussen, still struggling to come to terms with the Stewart Ford on some tracks he has never seen before, and Fukio Katayama of Japan in the Minardi Hart. All 22 cars in the field qualified under Damon Hill's year-old qualifying record on this track. You ride with Jacques Villeneuve now as he pulls into his starting box. Now let's talk about what we will look for at the start of this race. The front row must get a good start because some very quick starters will be coming up from row 3, Derek.
Well, I think it's, as you say, Coulthard and Fisichella are the ones. I think they've had some outrageous starts this year. And, of course, we've got Eddie Irvine a lot further back. He's had some outrageous starts, caused quite a stir on a couple of occasions. So I think it's all going to happen back there. But you've just got to say Michael Schumacher's got to make an impeccable start here.
Now, in practice and qualifying, the teams have been using the middle part of the racetrack, so there's no particular advantage to one side or the other. Tires have been a story all weekend. The teams have been putting through heat cycles to avoid blisters in the race. Pit stops will be critical. 1, 2, or 3 stops for each driver. We'll find out in a moment. Here we go. Good start for the front row. Fisichella squeezes between the 2 second-row starters and is up to 3rd at turn 1. Oh, but down the inside, he's challenged by Alesi.
Oh, look at the Benetton. Oh, poor Alesi. Oh, there's bits of car there.
Eddie Irvine has spun.
There's Irvine. That's his out of the race, but it's somebody else's car. He hit somebody else's rear end, that panel at the back, it seemed like. Or a bit of wing or something.
On the back stretch along the St. Lawrence River. This is part of the newly repaved part of the racetrack. Right there they come off. And it's Jan Magnussen in one of the Stewart Fords. And there's Eddie Irvine.
Whatever happened there, yellow flag to indicate the drama at the first corner, but meanwhile Schumacher is well away already. And look at the Lace is well up there, as is Fisichella. Not a good day for Magnussen. I mean, he's just had such a torrid season. He really needed to get a good race in here, some good mileage under his belt, and he's not doing it this week. But he must have just been involved in that melee back there, and of course Irvine was part of it as well. Although I must admit, Eddie's car didn't look badly damaged. I think it was just the fact that he stalled the engine.
Through the narrow hairpin for the first time in front of a packed house. Along the straightaway, along the rowing basin from the 76 Olympic Games and into the hairpin at the start-finish line. Another look at the first corner complex.
There's Eddie. Oh, no, Magnussen's right in the middle. I just don't see where that black bit of bodywork came from. They're all getting around the back. But Magnussen, I think, had involved before that. Eddie doesn't look at all happy. My goodness, he needed a good result because he has to be on the walk from Ferrari, sad to say, although he's had some good performances, not consistent enough.
Brilliant start for Giancarlo Fisichella. And at the other end of the stick, Rubens Barrichello went backwards in the first section of the racetrack on lap 1. Ooh. And already a pit stop for the Prost team.
Oliver Panis in the pit. No, it isn't. It's the other car, isn't it? I'm so sorry. I couldn't see his helmet. They're putting the new. He lost the wings in that incident at the start, so it is Panis. That's tragic because, in fact, he was quickest in warm-up this morning, and they look like he should have had a really very good race. We've seen how well these Bridgestone tires have run, and I think they're on for a very good race there, but not now.
And back up the pit lane, you see Mika Hakkinen has brought the McLaren in, and the mechanics are just milling around looking at the back of the car. That's not good.
Well, of course, they have the new F-spec engine in there, the one they used for qualifying in the last race. They used it here, but they haven't yet to use it in a race until today. I wonder if that is something to do with it. He may have been involved in that incident at the start. Maybe somebody hit somebody up the rear end and he might have damaged some gear selection or something in that area.
Michael Schumacher drawing away. Jacques Villeneuve runs second, then Giancarlo Fisichella, and there is Jean Alesi.
My goodness, Alesi needs a good run here. He really does need a good run. Oh, look, who's spun around? That's Frenzen spun?
No, that's Villeneuve.
Oh, Villeneuve has spun coming out of the chicane onto the pit straight. I don't believe it. And he stalled it. Well, perhaps his wheels have hit the wall as well. That is amazing. I couldn't see the color of his helmet properly. He can't believe it either. What a thing to do. And he's going, what have I done? My home Grand Prix, I've just thrown possibly the lead in the World Championship away. What an idiotic thing to do. But of course, we just don't know exactly what he did do. No doubt we'll see in a minute, but he doesn't appear to have hardly damaged the car, but he certainly lost it as he came out of that corner. Michael Schumacher won't believe his luck. Schumacher hasn't been in the lead like this from the start for a long time.
Here's another look approaching the chicane that leads onto the start-finish straightaway. The pit entrance dead ahead. First corner, no problem. Whoops.
Oh dear, he lost the tail as he came in, like the braking was on the wrong side. It's like he had too much braking on the rears and he turned in. He just got the tail out. You can see it going across the road. Actually quite a nasty little accident. In fact, what happened is he lost it at the end. Coming, here he is. Oh, we're not going to see that again. Pity.
He speared straight across the racetrack.
He lost it just there where Schumacher is right now. He lost it, got out on some dust, which, as we said earlier, there's a lot of dust on the outside there. You've got to be so careful. Probably up on the curbs as well. He arrived a little bit late, and of course that was it. Round goes the tail, and boy, you just cannot get these cars back in shape.
69 laps of racing scheduled, completing lap 3. Michael Schumacher, Giancarlo Fisichella, the highest he has run since Argentina. Jean Alesi in third for Benetton. David Coulthard, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and Ralf Schumacher.
Be ironic right now, Schumacher's got the race, as you might say, in the bag. Of course, something awful will happen to him, but let's point out they're not running their Step 2 engines. The Step 2 engines that they've been using in qualifying, the very much more powerful engines they've got, they've decided not to run it today, and I don't blame them. They're on the front row and sort of could command the race. As you see now, Schumacher can control the race from there, so it's best to run the reliable package, and that's exactly what they're doing.
This sellout crowd is still stunned. Their favorite son, Jacques Villeneuve, is out of the race with a crash into the start-finish line wall, and his record is intact. He has won every race he has finished this year. This will be his 4th DNF to go with his 3 victories. We'll be back live to Montreal. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Bob Varsha, Derek Bell, Jonathan Green with you for the Formula One Grand Prix of Canada. The battle for 5th is Heinz-Harald Frentzen with Ralf Schumacher in the bright yellow Jordan just behind him. There is Schumacher, who has been criticized this season for his arrogance coming into the series. He has but 1 finish to show for the 6 races he has started. And right now, he appears to have that Jordan Peugeot on even terms with the all-conquering Williams-Renault.
And he is going to, a young Master Wirtz, our young driver from Germany, the Benetton driver, is not far behind them either, so he's getting a good lesson back there. In fact, 3 Germans lying in 5th, 6th and 7th place. This is going to be very intriguing because obviously Frentzen is under a lot of pressure at Williams, a tremendous amount of pressure. Is he really good enough? And there he is with another young German right behind him and another young German right behind him. And this is going to be a very intriguing part of the race. Schumacher, meanwhile, of course, is up front, but we haven't mentioned too much. There we see Barrichello, and he's actually quite well down, and I'm surprised because he did start in 3rd place, but of course, remember, he might only make 1 pit stop for tyres. He is the leading car on Bridgestone tyres.
And they're the 2 Tyrrell Ford teammates running close together. Good race for them thus far. Jos Verstappen from the Netherlands leading his teammate Mika Salo. Salo, in the eyes of many people, destined to move to Ferrari next year, perhaps, well, what am I saying, perhaps?
Oh, dear, Minardi. Dear, oh dear.
Ukio Katayama.
Where did he go? He really went in there quite hard, didn't he? You see, if you get out wide on some of this stuff, there's so much dirt out there, they're going to have to really yank that car out very quickly. Oh, keep well over, boys. It's right on the exit of a corner.
It's under the bridge, the crossover bridge that leads back to the mainland.
Debris all over the road, too. Back up there, you can see bits of debris. It'll be intriguing to know just why everybody's going off, but I think just everybody's so desperate to make a mark in this race because they're having goes in corners. Remember, we did mention there's a lot of dust. It's a very green circuit, and offline, it's just like an ice rink. And these guys get offline, they get out of shape, and of course, they're off the road. Look at this little dice going on here, though. They are having a dice. Wirtz is all over.
And Ralf Schumacher, while we were watching Katayama's wreck, has gotten by.
Yeah, but so's Wirtz.
Frentzen.
Wirtz is having to go to him now as well. This is not good for Frentzen. Frentzen just having a torrid year.
Frentzen now in 6th place. Young Alex Wirtz, just 23 years of age, youngest ever winner of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which coincidentally ended just a couple of hours ago over in France for the 1997 version. Wirtz attacking Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the Williams. No shortage of confidence in the 23-year-old Austrian.
Just remember, of course, the safety car is going out, so that means everybody have to go in line behind it. That car is obviously in a very dangerous position. They can't get a crane to it. They're going to have to go in there with a truck and pick it up. That's a great pity, of course, for Schumacher, but great relief for the guys behind it because it means they can start again on fairly equal terms.
We'll have a single file restart, and this is an interesting anniversary. 24 years ago here in Canada, A safety car was used for the very first time in Formula One, but it led to mass confusion as all of the drivers pitted, and 3 different drivers, Emerson Fittipaldi, Jackie Oliver, and Peter Revson, all thought they had won the race. In the end, after much arguing and checking of the lap charts, American Peter Revson was granted the victory. As the field comes to a controlled position behind the safety car, let's take a look at the start. Now watch Mika Hakkinen to the right of the screen, trying to squeeze along the pit wall, and he
went
does.
Past Barrichello. He did a good job going past Barrichello, but then of course he nearly runs into the back of Alesi. He backs off. He's on the brakes again, getting locked up. He's getting quite sideways there. There he's just watching coming through. Gosh, he's close to the back of Alesi again, right in the middle of this lot. Actually, that was, I think we're actually following Coulthard. There we go. There's Irvine out there. You saw the he got involved. He was really just a passenger in this incident, and that wing there and actually that area of it is actually part of Hakkinen's car, and he got ran into the back of by Olivier Panis. That's why Panis went in to have his nose changed. And so Panis is Coulthard. Wing comes off. Irvine takes evasive action and loses the engine.
And I think Damon Hill ran over some of the debris. Hill has been in and out of the pits before this yellow flag came out, as you see the crew working on Katayama's Minardi. Here is Villeneuve's accident at the final corner. Schumacher makes the chicane.
But it's amazing because he didn't go out wide at all. Of course, once he's on that stuff there, he's not going to stop. It's really, really strange. He had the right line going on, but he got on the power and he just kicked the tail out.
The car, heavy with fuel, just caught the points leader out. And if Michael Schumacher stays where he is, he won't be the points leader for long. Above Casino Corner at Montreal, with a packed house of more than 100,000 on hand, including some fans of Michael and Ralf Schumacher. They're wearing their Ferrari t-shirts, so I guess that tells you where their sentiments really lie. Another look at the start. Giancarlo Fisichella in the bright yellow Jordan leaps between the second row starters into third place.
Dismal start from Barrichello, let me say.
Absolutely. There you see Jan Magnussen in the white Stewart Ford, third from the end. He will come a cropper in the next series of corners. Now the start from on board Jean Alesi's Benetton. Good start for Alesi as well, up into fourth.
Whoa,
and trying,
he just missed Fisichella there.
Trying Fisichella for third.
Back around the outside.
Boy, Fisico giving up nothing to the more experienced Frenchman. I'm really impressed with the way Giancarlo Fisichella handles that Jordan. Beautiful day here on the Ile Notre Dame, the Gilles Villeneuve circuit. Temperature in the mid-70s, likely to get hotter. The Jacques Cartier Bridge in the background, spanning the ship channel to St. Lawrence Seaway. We are ready to go green once again. The green is out, and Michael Schumacher leads Giancarlo Fisichella.
Let's just see how Fisichella hangs on to him. It'll be very intriguing now. He hasn't got Villeneuve in there. He's got his confidence going. He's got the rhythm of the car. Let's just see if he can stay with Michael.
Now, while we were away, Damon Hill made another pit stop to top off on fuel. He's on the Bridgestone tires, which appear to be lasting longer than the Goodyears on this very slippery surface.
What a shot. That is a great shot, isn't it? A really great shot. But of course, for him, for Damon, it was a good bet. I mean, he was at the back of the field anyway because it had pitted, so may as well come in, top up with fuel, and then he can have a good run through, and there's a chance that he could run the whole race. The Bridgestones are known for it. Remember, the Bridgestones are actually the soft compound tyre, which seems to do race distance, whereas the Goodyear hard only just about does race distance. Goodyear's tyres are somewhat harder. That's a great pity.
From the pit lane, Jacques Villeneuve has told the assembled press that his crash was completely driver error. He went into the turn too hot.
It was amazing when you saw the in-car camera shot. It didn't look like Jack was too hot at all. It looked like he just got on the power, which of course is too hot, but he didn't look like he went into it too hot. He looked like he hit the gas pedal too hot. The tyres should have been up to temperature at that point. They may well not have been. Remember, it's a very smooth surface. Difficult to get the tyres right up to temperature.
At the end of a 200-mile-an-hour straightaway, the chicane where Villeneuve crashed. Drivers using all of the road, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen brings the other Williams into the pits at top speed.
Now, why didn't he pit under the yellow? That is a crazy. Look at his rear tyre. It does look a mess back there. That looks awful. He's got blisters on that tyre. He's really ruined that one. Now, he had a major tyre problem in Barcelona. It's really odd. They said that the car was perfect on tyres in warm-up. He was better on tyres than Jacques, and in the race he has a disastrous time on these tyres. Mind you, left about 3 laps of rubber on the road as he exited the pits.
Now the question is, why didn't Heinz-Harald Frentzen come in under the yellow flag? Why did he wait until they went green again?
Well, of course, it's not IndyCar. You know, these guys aren't quite up to it in this Formula One stuff just yet.
Well, there are enough IndyCar drivers have been in the pits all weekend. Bobby Rahal was here, Dario Franchitti's here, Mark Blundell is here working for Canadian TV. And my goodness, there's no shortage of guys around who could tell them how to do this. Excuse me, ITV in Britain is whom Mark Blundell is working for. He got a terrible fright when the man he is replacing for the weekend, Martin Brundle, who was driving at Le Mans, dropped out of the race early and told a worldwide television audience, well, now I can get back to Canada for the Grand Prix.
They'll have had to share that great bundle of money they get for working for ITV, that's for sure.
Just like you and I, right,
Yeah,
partner?
exactly. We earn a fortune, don't we? But we love it. We do it for the love of the sport, you see.
In the last 8 runnings of this race, 8 different drivers have won, including that man, Michael Schumacher, in 1994 for Benetton. He could become the first repeat winner since the late Ayrton Senna, who won this race for the 2nd time back in 1990.
It's a kiss of death when you say that. Do you know that, Bob? I hate it when people say, well, he's on his way, he could do it for the second. He could. I'd hate to think of that. Schumacher's 11 laps into the race. He's got Fisichella, who's actually not dropping back as far. But remember, Michael has not got Villeneuve behind him. He's got Fisichella. So he's going to pace himself, I believe, on Fisichella. He's going to lap. He's only 1.6 seconds ahead. And now he had 1.8 seconds on Villeneuve on the first lap. So Michael is pulling away. He's trying to maintain the good balance of the car. He doesn't want to screw those tires up at this point. He wants to keep them going. The Goodyears have had a major problem. In fact, what has happened is the Goodyears have, in fact, all the Goodyear runners last night asked for their tires, the brand new tires, their sticker tires, to be shaved off, and the engineers actually shaved 1/4 millimeter. That's like a cigarette paper of thickness of rubber off the surface of those tires, so that when the tires get hot, they don't get as hot as they would if they were sticker tires. The problem is curing the tires, is not letting them get too hot too soon. So a lot of the people, including Williams, and you wouldn't believe it right now, actually went out and they actually got the tires very, very hot. They'd come in, cool them down, hot them up again and go. Bit of overtaking going on, coming down the chicane.
Jasper Verstappen tries to take Rubens Barrichello, almost overcooks the chicane, but he makes it would appear, and takes over 7th spot behind Alex Wurz. Barrichello going backwards in the Stewart Ford.
That is amazing when you think that Barrichello's in the latest Ford Project 6 engine, I think I'm right in calling it, and of course, Verstappen is in an older engine. He's sort of in the customer engine. He's not made of anything like the same sort of power. Intriguing business to see those Tyrrells doing so well. And in fact, Barrichello's going to get overtaken very shortly as well by the other one of the 2 Tyrrell drivers. So
Mika Salo is right there. And as I mentioned earlier, before Katayama crashed, Salo appears to be on Ferrari's short list, possibly to replace Eddie Irvine next year. Another look at the pass by Verstappen.
That wouldn't have done his tires much good, but nevertheless he got by, and now he can actually balance a little bit about it. Here's a good shot of it. Gosh, he really did smoke virtually every tire on the car. It looked like all of them had their brakes locked up coming there, and in fact he had to really take the curbing strip as he came across all that green line. But of course I think it frightened the other guys behind so much that they daren't have a go. Whoa, look at them, they're really having a dice down into here. I thought they said there wasn't too much overtaking on this track, but they're having a go absolutely everywhere.
I believe in Nigel Mansell's maxim. You pass where you have to pass. You're a racing driver.
Oh, he's going down the outside. Look at it, going right down the outside there. 2 abreast out, my goodness gracious me.
When we see Barrichello again, check the driver's right front tire. Do we see a dark line forming? Is he blistering that right front? I believe he is.
Oh, look, he doesn't realize there's a fellow right behind him.
That's the
Sauber.
Sauber.
The Sauber car right behind what he's doing behind the Tyrrells, but I guess it was all to do with the chaos on the first part of the track. Mind you, the Saubers with the Petronas Ferrari engine has not been running at all well this weekend, and Johnny Herbert says there's some little bumps. There's a series of bumps here, and the car just does not like a bumpy circuit.
This is also a very tough circuit on brakes, and Herbert said they were going up in size in their brake ducting to try to keep the brakes cool as much as possible. Another look at that passing maneuver.
It's a different one this time. That was the one.
This is Salo attacking Barrichello. Barrichello holds him off. Salo takes the same route that Verstappen did, but he doesn't get the position.
Oh, it's a good bit of maneuvering, because I tell you, Verstappen was right up there on the curve on the inside, and it looked pretty dirty up there. In fact, we just heard that, as we said, that when The Williams car went in, Frenzen's car went in just now. In fact, it was the left rear tyre that was blistered, and we saw that from the camera. So he's having a torrid time with these tyres this year. Yet, as I said, in practice and qualifying, they seem very happy with the tyres on his car.
Rubens Barrichello driving a car that spent a few days on the four-post chassis jig at Ford's Advanced Engineering Center in Dearborn, Michigan last weekend, using the Step 6 Ford Cosworth V10 engine. And as you mentioned, Derek, is losing ground to the Ford Cosworth V8 customer engine, the 85.
There's one of the
That's one of the Jordans.
Yeah, maybe it's Schumacher in the tyres. That'd be tragic if it was. It is Schumacher. Oh, that's really, but he does have some incidents. He really has some incidents, that kid. He's really got to finish some races. He's finished one race this year, and that was when he took his teammate out on the way to third place.
And he went heavily into that tire wall. He might have gotten behind it.
Doesn't look very nice at all, but he got out. Those cars are so strong. Here's a very good shot of it as he comes into the corner in the back of the... Oh, he just lost it under braking. Oh, look at that. It was a mighty... Whoa, he hit the tire wall right in the end. They never intended that to happen. That is an astonishing bit of bad luck. I mean, he got on the grass. Obviously, what I would suggest what he did is he got us some dust on that white line as he came down there. And, of course, I said there's very little grip there at all. It made the car weave, got on the grass, and zap, off he goes. Remember, they're pulling 2.5 to 3 gears they're braking, and that isn't good news for these guys. It doesn't look fast to us, but my goodness, they're decelerating at a great rate.
He becomes the 5th driver out of the race. Jacques Villeneuve, Ukio Katayama, Eddie Irvine, Mika Hakkinen, and now Ralf Schumacher. Brother Michael up front with 15 laps complete of 69 scheduled.
Ooh, that was a little stutter from the engine as he went up through the gearbox there. I hope that was nothing that's going to tell a tale later on. He's not screaming away from Fisichella here, but I would say he was just balancing his car out. He's trying to save those tires. You can see there's no blisters looking at the moment. Just keeping the car nice and smooth. Doesn't need any pressure on him, and I think that's what's happening to Frenzen.
A Tyrrell in the points amid rumors that the Tyrrell team may be up for sale after 30 years for Uncle Ken, who has never missed a race in all that time. We'll be back. We are back live in Canada, round 7 of the Formula One World Driving Championship. There you see the top 6, the points paying positions, 10, 6, 4, 3, 2, and 1 points respectively, as Mika Salo, who has been all over the back of Rubens Barrichello, finally gets by him for 7th place. Now Barrichello attacks around the outside. Johnny Herbert being opportunistic on the inside in the dark blue Sauber, but he can't get around yet.
They're having a real dust-up here. They're having a mighty dust-up. And Wirtz, I think, is doing a wonderful job hanging on there in the back. He's getting a lot of experience. Remember, he hasn't got a major amount of big car experience. I mean, all right, Le Mans is one thing, but in Formula One terms, he's not been, has a great history in Formula 3000 or anything like that. This is a major difference for him. And, of course, it's a long race. However much testing you do, there's nothing like going out there and do a race. See, the Ligier, or not the Ligier, the Prost is right up in there now as well.
Now in this corner is where Ralf Schumacher had his crash. A yellow flag came out, and moments ago the battle between Salo and Barrichello approached that point. Here's what happened as they crossed the start-finish line.
Well, you can see Barrichello gets a little bit sideways coming out there. Verstappen makes a move to go down the inside. As he goes down the inside, look, yellow flag. So what does he do? Oh my goodness, I better back out of this. Very intelligently, he backs out. Otherwise, he was going to get penalized a lot of money. He should have backed out a little sooner, in fact. But there he is, backing out a lot now. And, of course, round the corner he goes, back in the position that he had before. But, of course, they weren't to know there was a car in the ditch round the corner, so the yellow flag was informing them of that. And take care, boys, no overtaking.
Now there is Johnny Herbert, who has also gotten around Rubens Barrichello, who is going very slowly.
Looks to me, you look at the front of Barrichello's tyre. On that right front tyre, there's quite a dark black patch, which means that very possibly he's having a little bit of blistering, which is amazing to think it's happening on one of these Bridgestone tyres, because we haven't seen anything go wrong with the Bridgestone tyres whatsoever. You look at the tyres on the Prost behind, and it looks immaculate. But of course, depends how you set the car up. Put a little bit too much camber in the tyre, and of course it puts a little bit more loading on that inside edge, and that's exactly where he seems to be having that. Well, it doesn't look good to me in that particular position. See, look how smooth his tyres are.
Best racing of the day right here up front. Michael Schumacher leads by more than 3 seconds over Giancarlo Fisichella as you watch Olivier Panis. Just ahead of him, world champion Damon Hill, having one of his best runs of the year for the Arrows Yamaha team.
Now, of course, it just really depends on just how these guys are going to go on this pit stop strategy. Michael, as I said, I'm sure he's just He's not coasting. Of course he's not coasting, but he's balancing the car out. He's got it set up for racing. These four behind, they're not far apart. I mean, they're pretty close. Coulthard's right there behind Alesi, waiting for a moment to pounce. Wirtz is slipping back a little bit, but nevertheless, he's back there too, in that group just behind, waiting for his opportunity. Fisichella, in fact, doing a great job, but it looks like he's slipping back a little bit into the grasp, should I say, of Alesi. And of course, Coulthard is pushing Alesi, which means Alesi is possibly covering his backside just a little bit. Doesn't want to give DC that chance to slip through anywhere, which of course gives Fisichella that chance maybe to slip away now and again, pull away a little bit.
19 laps complete, working lap 20. Do the math. If you're on a two-stop strategy, your pit window is going to be opening shortly. And of course, around pit stop time, in laps and out laps are critical. Here comes Olivier Panis for the Prost team.
Yeah, in already for tyres. That just shows you maybe there is something wrong with the Bridgestone tyres, of course, on the Stewart car that we saw just now. They look pretty darn good to me. They're doing a very, very quick stop, of course, and they're putting on sticker. No, they have been bedded in. Looks like they may well have machined those tyres down a little bit too, or else they did something during practice to actually scuff them off, to harden the tyres up a little bit. If you actually go out, do a couple of 3 laps on a set of tyres, you don't overcook them, you just bring them up to temperature quite well, scuff the surface off, take them in and put them away. In fact, you then harden them a bit so they become hardened to overheating the next time they go out. Wear isn't the problem here, it really is just the overheating problems.
Ralf Schumacher on the left, fastest straight line speed on that straightaway, 323 kilometers per hour, well over 200 miles an hour on the straightaway. We'll be back for the pits. Back live at the Grand Prix of Canada, Bob Varsha, Derek Bell, glad to have you with us on this Father's Day weekend. Giancarlo Fisichella in the yellow Jordan, then Jean Alesi in the blue and white Benetton, and David Coulthard in the black and silver West McLaren. Moments ago, a passing attempt down in the hairpin.
Frentzen having to go down the inside of one of the two Petronas Saubers.
That was Gianni Morbidelli.
Remember, of course, that he has been in the pits already for tyres, so he's actually making up ground from further back. But he obviously uses his tyres too hard. He had this problem in Barcelona. He's having it here today. And of course, a lot of it is down to your driving style. And it could be that the Frentzen just hasn't quite got the technique to make his tyres last. Because, I mean, you can set the car up, but if you overdrive it, Frentzen is inclined to overdrive it, or has been seen to be. I wouldn't say he does in a race so much, but if you overdrive it, you force that front tyre or you force that rear tyre by getting on it too soon.
Now here's a point to be made. Michael Schumacher has set fast lap, has reset fast lap on each of the previous 2 laps. So he is preparing for his pit stop, and he's doing something that Schumacher is the master at, the fast in lap to maximize the time advantage for your crew on the pit stop.
Yeah, he's pulled away quite a lot in the last couple of laps. Alesi catching up Fisichella in front, putting a lot of pressure on him, because now he knows, Alesi knows, he's got to go in for tyres very shortly. I'm sure everybody's going to have to make 2 stops, so they're all going to put a bit of pressure on the guy in front. Even Coulthard's tyres, you can see those black etch marks coming up, picking up on the tyre on the McLaren. They're all pushing their tyres because they know they've only got a couple of laps to go. They may as well give it all they've got to pressure the guy in front, maybe into making an error, because you can bet your bottom dollar he's sliding around just as much.
And while these guys are attempting to put in those fast laps, Michael Schumacher has gained over 3 seconds on them on the racetrack.
Yeah, well, of course, as I said just now, Fisichella knows that Alesi is all over the back of him. He's very concerned about it. He's looking in his mirrors. That's the one thing you don't want as a driver, is looking in your mirrors. Once you start looking in your mirrors, your concentration goes, and of course, you start to lose time. And this racing is all about concentration. Whoa, right up against the wall there, but they're pretty close. Remember, of course, Alesi, he's got Coulthard behind him, but Alesi is a pretty hardened old campaigner. He's been out there, done a lot of Grand Prix now, and he's not going to worry about DC right behind him. He's going to be more worried about pressurizing this young star in front of him. He's going to be right behind him, so when they pit stop, he gets a good lap, he goes in the pits, does a quick pit stop, comes out again, and of course maybe will be ahead. Remember, right now he's getting a certain amount of turbulence behind Fisichella's car. There's no point in him trying to actually get by him, but just to worry him. That's what he's doing.
Action further back as Heinz-Harald Frentzen pulls up behind the white Stewart of Rubens Barrichello, but he got around Damon Hill. Meanwhile, in the hairpin,
he goes down inside Barrichello, and away he goes.
Well, that's the advantage of new tires on this racetrack.
And of course, his car is a little tad better than the Stewart, one has to say, judging by the performance today. The Stewart seems to be going backwards, which is very sad after what they did in practice. Interesting to know, though, those of you who didn't watch qualifying yesterday, is that in fact the Stewarts put a Formula 3 wing on the back of their Formula 1 car, and in fact they were quickest by about 3 miles an hour down the straightaway. They weren't as quick as today. They were tad on 200 miles an hour down this bit of straight yesterday, thanks to the wing, because obviously this circuit is really a point and squirt track. Here we are into a chicane, get it basically out, squirt it up the straight, and of course this is what's destroying the rear tires. Is this, with full tanks, is this absolute sort of transfer of weight to those rear tires. Here we come down in the corner, slow it down, point it, pick it up, off again. Now here we are, pick it up on the power and really put your foot down. Now that transfer of the weight to the back is putting so much temperature through those rear tires, and that is what's creating this blistering, and probably a bit of that as well. Locking them out now and again is what it takes, and of course you blister the tires, and he's going to have to stop soon.
Verstappen in from 6th place. The Tyrrell team goes to work.
It seems that Barry Keller may well be getting a 10-second blocking penalty for holding people up just now, but I don't know if they meant that was the Williams. I'm sure it didn't seem to me to take long for Frenzen to go by. Frenzen can now have a good run, of course. Now here comes, he's in, whether this is his 10-second penalty or not, no, he's just come in for a refueling and tyre job here, putting on his Potenzas.
Those tires look new.
They look brand new, yes.
Yep,
There's
stickers on them.
Without a doubt, there's stickers. The Jordan team getting ready next door, the Benetton team ready just there, and the Ferrari team can't be far away.
Ominous news from the pit lane. Ralf Schumacher walked back and reported that the reason he hit the wall was his right front tire let go. Pit stops now for Fisichella and Alesi.
Whoa, look at Fisichella getting it sideways.
Ooh, mind
50
the
mile an hour
speed
sideways.
limit.
Yeah. Nothing says you can't do that when you're coming, as long as you're going 55 miles an hour over the line.
The Jordan team expects to hear shortly whether or not they'll have Peugeot engines for next year, but the rumor is that Eddie Jordan may have already done a deal for the Mugen Honda V10s. John Alesi out first. 2 good pit stops.
That's just what John Alesi wanted. He wanted to have that good stop. I did mention it just now. My goodness, I'm clever. And he wanted to get in there and get away ahead of that Jordan, and he's done just that. Now he's going to have clean air, and he should be able to ease himself away. He won't overstress the tires. They proved they can make the tires last the stint. Why? Young Ralf Schumacher had the problem, we're not sure, but he did say something about the fact that he right front tire did burst or blistered and therefore banged, but it must have been something pretty major for him to do that, because he should have noticed it before. They don't normally go bang just like that without a blister appearing first.
Michael Schumacher continues to pound out fast laps as he prepares for his pit stop.
Just look at that, 10 kilometers an hour. That's 7 miles an hour slower Michael is down the straight than his brother. It just shows, of course, just how quick that Peugeot engine is. The Ferrari, of course, haven't got their latest engine. Michael was running somewhat quicker down the straight yesterday, but he is back on the Step 1 engine that they've raced basically last year and all through this year so far.
New fast lap for Michael Schumacher, who does it again. He now has 10 seconds on the 2nd place McLaren of David Coulthard. And let me take back what I said about 2 good pit stops. The Benetton team and Jean Alesi got in and out 2.5 seconds quicker than Giancarlo Fisichella. Here's Alex Wirtz headed for the Benetton pit.
Look at him lock those wheels up as he comes in.
I tell you what, the bravest man in the world is the guy who stands in front of an oncoming Formula 1 car in the pit. The jack man right to the left of your screen.
Yeah, that metal jack hitting you in the chest at about 30 miles an hour isn't exactly the way to spend your day.
Mika Salo's pit stop for Tyrrell.
This is the best we've seen the Tyrrells run.
Absolutely.
It's very nice to see them running so well, particularly when there is talk about the team being sold to somebody. Lots of people seem to be interested, but nobody seems to be admitting who, or even the fact that Tyrrell really want to sell it. But of course, they haven't signed the Concord Agreement at this point. That's the way to making a lot of money, it seems, out of the television rights, etc. So the cost of the Tyrrell team is perhaps not very correct just yet. 20 million could be 30 million.
Well, though all the problems the Benetton team may be having this year, they do quick pit stops. Alex Wirtz even quicker than his teammate Jean Alesi's.
Another shot. Frenzen overtaking
Verstappen on the racetrack, is it?
My goodness, though, the poor guy nearly didn't get into the corner there. Schumacher here is chasing down Barry Keller. So, of course, oh, look at this. David Coulthard just got the quickest lap on a fresh set of tyres. Oh, yeah, Barry Keller let him through very, very quickly, very nicely. No problems there. Thank you very much. Michael speeds on his good way. Now they're getting ready for him in the pits. He doesn't need to be held up on this lap, because this is where Michael makes this time up. I was on this coming in lap, and, of course, his going out lap. But he has a little bumper of 10 seconds. But, of course, he's got to go in and do a very good stop at this point.
Let me correct you on one thing, Derek. Coulthard has not yet pitted, so he got that new fast lap on worn tires and light on fuel. And I think he is close enough that Schumacher will not be able to get in and out and hold off Coulthard.
No, you're absolutely right. He will not. And as I said it, I realized the error of my ways. But I thought Coulthard must have gone in. I thought, well, don't make a fool of yourself. But no, 10.4 seconds, there's no way he's going to get in and out in that time. But, of course, Coulthard could be. Here goes Schumacher into the pits now. Coulthard, of course, could be going for a one pit stop strategy, but somehow I doubt it. Oh, Schumacher was a tad slideways as well there as he came in.
Well, this is something Tom Walkinshaw, who has studied Michael Schumacher very closely. After all, he hired him away from Eddie Jordan. Schumacher practices his pit stops. He gets the maximum amount of time on his entry and his exit, in addition to the wonderful work he does on the in and out laps.
Great stop, though. 7.6 seconds. That was a great stop. He comes out. Of course, Coulthard will have gone by, but no doubt Coulthard's got to come in at this point. And here we are covering the lead of the race right now. Fastest lap, 1:19.2. 1:19.902, and that, of course, is quicker than Michael had done. So Coulthard's really moving on at the end there.
From the in to the out, the Ferrari pit stop for Michael Schumacher, 25.2 seconds. That's the quickest we've seen thus far. David Coulthard, who had a fraught qualifying session yesterday. He had one of the new spec Mercedes F Series engines let go that parked him out on the racetrack, ran back, got in the T car, the backup car that was not perfectly set up for him, but he was able to get some more quick laps in en route to qualifying on row 3 in the number 5 spot.
Well, he did proceed to go off the road as well again, didn't he, in that car?
Well, he did. A tad understeer, he
Just
said.
a tad understeer, but he nearly took the wall out of the chicane, but he had a nasty lurid time there. Didn't pack him with confidence. He looked a bit perturbed at the interview that we had with him yesterday, but nonetheless, he's out there today. All that's behind him. All he's doing now is thinking about how to keep this car on the road, keep it on that really dark black bit, which is the correct line for all these corners. Don't let it drift out too wide. You really have to concentrate. You can see the outside line there, very dusty. Mustn't get out on that area because, boy, there is no traction whatsoever. And these guys are pumping out 750 horsepower. And it's very, very light indeed. They've got to be very, very cautious.
In fact, this new spec Mercedes engine is said to make 775 horsepower, which may move the German brand into the lead in the horsepower race in Formula One. We've had lots of new spec engines coming out of late. Ferrari, Mercedes, the Ford V8 and V10 engines have all got new specifications. The Yamaha has its new D-spec out there as well. Lots of new technology here in Formula One.
Well, Schumacher's only 9 seconds behind after his pit stop, so he's actually picked up a bit of time since he got back on the track. But remember, he is on brand new tires, but he'll still want to be pacing himself the way he did just before.
That's right. We discovered the secret 3 weeks ago in Spain was to baby those tires on the first few laps. That's what Jacques Villeneuve, the eventual race winner, said he did, was take the first few laps on those fresh tires fairly gently. So we don't expect to see a new fast lap out of Michael Schumacher just yet.
I saw
Rubens Barrichello. Second stop for the Brazilian. Look at all that graining on the front tires.
They didn't know that brilliant, but he's coming for more than that because they are not actually doing anything with the tires at all. They just, well, they have. They just left the tires on. They didn't. They just must have stuck some fuel in and off he went. Oh, that would have been his stop and go. I guess that's his stop and go. I do apologize. His tires didn't look too bad. I couldn't. Now here, a good shot of Frentzen. He, in fact, is being caught up there by one of the two Benetton cars. Oh, here's the pass going on as he goes by one. That looks like he's going by Wirtz, was it?
Alex Wirtz going fairly slowly.
Yeah. What is happening there? He really got himself out of shape, I think, is what happened. An in-car shot from Frentzen's car. Oh, Wirtz did get it. Look at that tank slapper as he comes out of there. He'll be calling up the team manager saying, I'm sorry, boss, I got a little bit sideways, but we're still running. Boy, oh boy, that would have not been a very pleasant way to finish his first Grand Prix for Benetton, that's for certain.
Forget the tires and fuel. I'm coming in for an underwear change.
Yeah, that will have cooled his ardor a little bit, as we say.
Gently through that same section of the racetrack now, and he gives up a position. Heinz-Harald Frentzen has reset top speed at about 201, 202 miles per hour. There was a section taken out of this racetrack a couple of years ago on that long front straightaway along the Olympic rowing basin. There used to be a quick right-left flick over a blind brow. It was an absolutely magic corner. In the safety-conscious days of recent years, they took out that section, added a chicane, but the Toyota Atlantic cars that run here on Saturday were faster through there than the Formula One cars by not using that chicane. The chicane disappeared the next year. We'll be back. Back live in Montreal, Canada, as Heinz-Harald Frentzen brings his Williams in for his second stop. His teammate Jacques Villeneuve crashed out of this race in the opening laps. So the points leader is out. Michael Schumacher runs in second place behind David Coulthard, who was on a one-stop strategy in the McLaren as Heinz-Harald Frentzen makes his exit.
The Ferrari has to make one more stop. So does David Coulthard have to make one more stop. But Ferrari's actually catching Coulthard at about a second a lap at the moment. So we'll see if that lasts every lap. But it should get very interesting in just a few laps. Lacey, of course, he isn't very far behind Schumacher either. So, and Fisichella isn't very far behind Lacey. So it's all fairly interesting in the first 3 or 4 places. There's a great shot to show just how close Fisichella is to Lacey.
That's the site of the old chicane at the back of your picture. Long gone now as these cars reach over 200 miles an hour on the straightaways and slow to 35 miles an hour in the hairpins. That is very hard on brakes, gearboxes, and fuel mileage. 33 laps complete of 69 scheduled.
Ooh, look at Fisichella. Oh, dear.
Gianni Morbidelli pulls, no, excuse me, that is the other Minardi. That is Jarno Trulli.
He's not had much success at all with the Minardi this year. He's not running at all well. He went off the track yesterday in quite a big way. Not that today's was necessarily his fault, but they pulled over, which is a great pity.
A story, Jarno Trulli is named for Jarno Saarinen, the Finnish motorcycle racer who was killed at Monza in the late 70s. Trulli has gone to Formula One from karts in the space of 2 seasons. Karts, 1 year of Formula 3, into Formula One with Minardi. Gianni Morbidelli is in the pits, in the Sauber. Here's another good story. His father, whose name happens to be Giancarlo, is a motorcycle buff. He has commissioned a run of 10 very special motorcycles. The Moda V8 engines on these touring bikes, but don't pick up the phone and order one just yet, Derek. They go for $150,000 US a piece.
That could warm up your inner thighs a little bit with your legs astride one of those, couldn't it? Well, not
V8 motorcycle. Morbidelli.
But Fisichella is all over the back of Alesi right now. And of course, this is maybe helping Schumacher just to ease away towards the back of Coulthard and sort of give Coulthard a bit of a hard time. Can't really see the gap at the moment. I'd like to see on time you're scoring just what it was.
Good little fight here. Johnny Herbert has not pitted yet either. So he too on a one-stop strategy. 34 laps complete of 69 scheduled. So this guy's definitely in the pit window.
It's just astounding how somehow some of them make the tires last for a double stint, and then you've got the Frentzen situation of supposedly the best handling car, and therefore the one that you would suppose would not wear the tires out, would have the best tire temperatures, the best tire wear than anybody else, and they're having major problems with it. It doesn't quite make sense to me. But generally, if a car is handling well, you don't wear the tires out.
Third, fourth, and fifth. Alesi on the left of your screen, Fisichella in the middle, and Herbert trailing that group. The bad news is they are 24 seconds behind Michael Schumacher, who still has one stop to go, as do these drivers. Although Johnny Herbert, as we mentioned, is on a one-stop strategy, as is our leader, David Coulthard. Now past the halfway point, Coulthard could be expected to pit at any moment.
And Schumacher's pulled in another 4 or 5 tenths in that last 2 laps. He's just edging away onto the back of David Coulthard, but of course Coulthard's tires must be getting pretty slippery by now. Herbert's right there to dive out, take a pass and go by, but not an easy place to go by at all.
Now this is where you really root the tires, when you run very close behind another car and the front end tends to wash out.
It's not quite so bad at this circuit, Bob, because there aren't that many high-speed corners. And I think that's why they're running a low downforce setup on a lot of these cars. Hence, they'll be able to run a little bit closer. I think you're right. Oh, that's the end of Barrichello. That is a pity. They're having a dismal season result-wise, but they did have that great run at Monaco when it was wet and doesn't put quite as much stress through the whole car. But I wonder what that problem was this time. But, you know, the might of Ford behind it, I'm sure they'll come up with the answers not too distant future.
Well, a great qualifying run for Rubens Barrichello up into third. Jackie Stewart has been giving him a new Rolex watch every time he improves his qualifying position. I don't know what he's going to give him if he wins a race. Herbert again having a look at the back of Giancarlo Fisichella, getting a good run off this corner. Slight left-hand kink through here. Up to top speed. Coulthard up to 325 on the straightaway.
203 miles an hour. That is streaking down there, isn't it? That is really quick. Can you imagine somebody out there boating? I can't imagine boating when there's a Grand Prix going on.
That's the Olympic rowing basin in the background. And beyond that, the shipping channel for the St. Lawrence Seaway. You get this beautiful effect when a large boat goes by. It looks like he's just grinding up the ground just behind the pits.
Now, of course, you've got Herbert all over the back of Fisichella. He's got Fisichella's attentions. He's got him glancing in his mirrors in sort of fear of when's this Sauber going to overtake me. And, of course, he's allowing Alesi just to inch away little bit by bit. Not very much, but Alesi's now got some time to actually study the track and actually get some nice clean lines and be a little bit more attacking about it, a bit more aggressive.
Word from the pits is Rubens Barrichello lost top gear. Sixth gear not working. And on this racetrack, you need that top gear.
But yesterday, as we said just now, they in fact were quickest down that straightaway in qualifying. And they were pulling just 200 miles an hour. And today, in the race, the guys are pulling more than 200 now. Somebody's going to say, but why is that? Well, the reason, I think, is that they put a little bit more downforce on to get that extra grip through the turns, to get the extra bite. Oh, look at Herbert up there. He's not going to get him, though. So they put a bit more wing on to whip it through those chicanes a bit quicker. But, of course, they're not going to get the fuel mileage with that extra drag. So today, they know they're going to be in traffic. They know they're going to get the opportunity to go through the corners that quickly because of the traffic and the dirt on the road. So, therefore, they whip a little bit of wing off. There goes Herbert into the pits now, locking wheel up as he does so.
Not much life left in those tires, I would imagine. But a good run on Goodyear's for Johnny Herbert. Whoops. Now behind the Sauber pits, the McLaren team is in the pit lane as well, which should indicate that we can expect race leader David Coulthard in momentarily.
I don't know if you noticed then. Whoa. I think the rev limiter is working quite well, Johnny. I looked across. The grandstand looked like they were half empty. Did you notice that? They've all gone because Jacques out of the race. That's unbelievable. Here's Olivier Panis. He's having a go too, but he didn't need worry because the Tyrrell came in the pits for his second fuel stop.
This is Mika Salo. Those seats across from the pits, by the way, are the most expensive grandstand seats, in excess of $200 or so, if I'm not mistaken. This is a beautiful walking circuit, a great place to just buy an inexpensive general admission ticket and walk from corner to corner. Shinji Nakano. He hasn't had the opportunity to make too many Formula One pit stops in his brief career. Spent a lot of time in guardrails. Stickered tires, Bridgestone rubber on the Prost. Meanwhile, David Coulthard continues on his merry way with an apparently bottomless fuel tank and very good Goodyear tires. We'll be back. The second place Ferrari of Michael Schumacher. You saw the McLaren team preparing for the race leader's one and only pit stop. There is Coulthard.
He may well be coming in this lap as he zaps down this back straightaway. We'll see in just a second. Is he coming in? Yes, he is. Now, it's really a matter of just how quick a stop they make for him. Didn't come in quite as quick as the others there. He lost maybe a bit of time on the rev limiter as he comes down, presses that little button down. Here he comes into his pit. See how long they go.
Now he will give up first place to Michael Schumacher, who still has a pit stop to go, but he should be able to get out, although it will be very close over the Benetton of Jean Alesi. The McLaren team working well. See where those Goodyears have been shaved. Now let's see. Schumacher goes by into the lead. Was that Alesi?
No, it wasn't. There's Schumacher. He's gone. He's down to the next turn, isn't he? He's halfway around the backside of the circuit, so he got by well and truly. He's now approximately 17 seconds ahead, basically.
I'm concerned about Alesi in second place, though. So he should be out. That could not have been a lazy then. He had a 27-second and change stop. And the lazy was more than 30 seconds back. So
the car that he passed as he came out the pit road was one of the Salvers, I believe. It was a blue and red car, so that wasn't a lazy, but it might have been a lazy just behind.
Works for me.
Now, of course, it depends what Michael can do on these tires, whether he can stretch out a little bit. Remember now, he probably got 17 seconds over him. He's got to pull it up. He's got to get about 10 seconds now over Coulthard in the next few laps to actually make up the difference of a fuel stop when he goes in. Remember, when he goes in, it probably won't be such a long stop.
I believe that's who it was that was going by. That was Damon Hill with the red wings fore and aft on his arrows. Alex Wirtz, meanwhile, his debut Grand Prix is over. Gearbox problems for the Benetton. The 23-year-old Austrian has left the race. Damon Hill pulls in for his third stop by my reckoning. You see the cross of St. Andrew, the white cross on the blue field.
And telling him, if I may say so, Bob, that he was 11 seconds down on Schumacher. P2 minus 11, but as I said, that isn't enough for Schumacher to have this victory. Unless, of course, they've done something very cool and they've allowed Schumacher to fill his tank up so that he could go through and run to the end of the race just on that one set of tires. They could afford to do that. They knew when he went out he would be behind, so if he could pace himself the way he was, they know the wear on the tires, they know the projection of the heat, and one thing and another, they could afford just to put enough fuel in for him to finish the race if the tires will last.
And he's going to need that because right now he's only about 10 seconds ahead of David Coulthard with a pit stop still to come.
Yeah, what I mean is he might not have to make that stop.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, they might have put enough fuel into Schumacher's car. That's a wonderful shot in from a lazy. Just watch. Okay, what I was actually saying before, interrupted by that wonderful shot inside of Alesi's car, was that, of course, Schumacher could well have, when he did his stop, he could have put enough fuel in to see him to the end of the race. Who knows, he may well have started the race with a lot of fuel, so all they did was top it up to bluff everybody. They were going to make a two-stop. We will see in the next few laps whether we're bluffing myself or they bluffed everybody.
Oh, Johnny Herbert. Everybody looks to be going in and out very quickly. Herbert will be penalized 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. Excuse me, Derek. I was going to say, if the situation remains status quo, Michael Schumacher has pretty much played right into David Coulthard's hands, so it'll be interesting to see what Schumacher can do. 10.4 seconds separates first and second. You watch Giancarlo Fisichella continuing his great run for Eddie Jordan's team. We'll take a quick break. Johnny Herbert has a black flag and a 10-second stop coming up. From high over the casino hairpin, which unfortunately is nowhere near the new Montreal Casino, which is on the Ile Notre Dame. And I think we see a dark line on the left rear wheel of Michael Schumacher's Ferrari.
Absolutely. There was quite a distinct mark right around the second of the tire. He's been losing about half a second a lap to David Coulthard too. So you see that line right around the center of that left rear tire? He's coming in now. And we just don't want that other car in the way. Michael's in, change these tires, but it's not going to be very handy for him. He'll have fresh tires, of course, and a dash of fuel.
We saw Johnny Herbert making his 10-second pit stop for a speeding violation in the pit lane. Olivier Panis in as well. Appears that the Prost team will be done first. A lot of fuel going in the Ferrari. That was slow. 9.8 seconds stationary.
Schumacher didn't need that. He's now going to get past Panis. So that's not going to be very good for him. Coulthard, meanwhile, takes the lead, and he could cruise to a wonderful victory.
It's up to David Coulthard now. The order is Coulthard, Schumacher, Alesi, Fisichella, Johnny Herbert with that 10-second stop and go. Well, 10-second stop has dropped out of 5th place. He's now behind Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Jos Verstappen. Oh, what a pity. Problems in the Tyrrell pits for the Dutchman. Jos the boss, as they call him in Holland, where they say that his fan club numbers 10,000 members. They also say the second largest fan club in the sport belongs to Michael Schumacher with barely 4,000 members. Coulthard has reset top speed, 325 kilometers an hour.
He's still howling down that back straight, and of course, Michael's going to get by Panis now, which is going to be, might not be such a big problem as we think, but he's going to be held up, which is what he doesn't need. He's going to slip out of the slipstream and hopefully go by under braking. Is he going to go by? Is Panis going to let him go by? Yeah, good for you, Olivier. Good move. He didn't get in the boss's way. He wasn't going to gain anything by holding him up anyway, because he's now a lap behind. Schumacher's got a lot of ground to make up, and I don't believe he can make it. The car didn't seem that quick in the previous stint, but of course we've seen this before. One set of tyres works better than another. He might now be very happy, and he might reel David Coulthard in, but David has got a substantial bumper of some 20 seconds now, and that's a lot to make up with just a few laps to go.
There's Damon Hill, the last car in the line. 13th and the last car running on the track. Giancarlo Fisichella hits from 4th place. See the crewman standing by with the start air hose. Fisichella does not need it. He comes back out on the racetrack. He'll have clear track in front of him. There is Jean Alesi in 3rd, 20 seconds behind race leader David Coulthard, about 8 seconds, if I've done the math properly, behind the 2nd place Ferrari of Michael Schumacher. And as always, we look for those tires and the black streaks, which I think I may see on the right front and right rear of Alesi's machine.
A little bit on the left rear as well, actually, Bo, I thought. It's difficult to look at them all at once, but just there's an inside rim on that, inside that left rear as you came out the corner. That looks all right. The right front's all right, I would say. That's fairly normal. It'll change now when he gets the car out of braking. There's a little patch just there, though. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Little patch just on that inside rim, which we can see. We can't see the other tires, but don't worry. Jean Alesi is looking at that almost every second as he drives. He's checking that all the way. And you don't need that, because that does make you lose a little bit of concentration.
This is predominantly a right-hand turning racetrack, so it's the left side tires that would take most of the load, one would think, as you see Heinz-Harald Frentzen in 4th place.
He's got quite a lot of loading on his left front tire as well. He's done a good job, actually, since he's had his pit stops. And he's brought the Williams up, but of course not enough. There's Fisichella, not far behind Frentzen at this point. It'll be interesting to see if they can make any movement up onto the back of Frentzen.
Well, the battle has stilled for the moment. Take this time out. Don't go away. We'll be back to the Ile Notre Dame and the Gilles Villeneuve circuit for more of the Grand Prix of Canada. Back live at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, where Villeneuve himself took a victory in his home Grand Prix back in the 1970s. Bob Varsha, Derek Bell with you. Happy Father's Day weekend. Things not going well for one father. Johnny Herbert has a dark streak, definite blistering on his left rear tire. Jean Alesi pitted during the break for the 2nd time. He too had blistered Goodyears. He runs in 4th place.
Yeah, he had blisters on that right front tire, the one we noticed as he was going along with the in-car camera. But Johnny Herbert has definitely got some major rubber missing from the center of his left rear tire. That isn't a good picture at all for him. Oh, this is, I'm going to say this is a shot of Alesi's before, but it's in fact since he had the tire change. So coming out of the pits. I don't know quite why they're showing the shot of Alesi coming out. It's not a very exciting time for anybody, that isn't.
David Coulthard, the race leader, has pulled out to a 12-second lead over Michael Schumacher. The McLaren running a one-stop strategy today, and it appears to be working well. There's Alesi. Rumors have it that he will be a big part of the silly season, which is beginning shortly, if it hasn't already in the minds of many. The Williams team, or excuse me, the Benetton team looking on. Frenchman, perhaps destined for his countryman Alain Prost's team next year, or perhaps Eddie Jordan, who brought him up through the Formula 3000 ranks and gave him the opportunity in Formula One by convincing Ken Tyrrell to take on Alesi for the U.S. Grand Prix at Phoenix Lodi's many years ago, nearly 100 Grands Prix ago now. And in that race, Alesi just stunned everyone by daring to pass Ayrton Senna on the streets of Phoenix. Great stuff. A long time ago now. There's Heinz-Harald Frentzen.
Oh, they're waiting for Frentzen to come in. I thought he must have another stop, you know. It's interesting to note that Pani is the highest placed Bridgestone runner at this point, but he is in fact only in 7th place. But remember, he did come in for that new nose section on the end of the first lap after his running in the back of Mika Hakkinen. So that would be why Panis is a little bit out of shape and lost that extra bit of time.
You see the running order. Bad news for Frentzen. If he has to make another stop, it would be his 3rd, and he will fall over a minute behind race leader David Coulthard with 49 laps complete. 20 laps to go. 19 next time the start, past the start-finish line. Michael Schumacher
He's got panny all over the back of him, and he can't get away. Look at the centre of Michael's tires. He's got rubber coming off his tire already. Look at it coming down that straight. He's really blocking. I hope he doesn't get a 10-second penalty. But Panny should be able to get by under braking, because Schumacher cannot have the efficiency on those brakes that he had before. No, he hasn't. Schumacher, I hope somebody's looking at the rear tyres, as they should have been on Johnny Herbert's tyres. Look at that. Left rear is blistered in 2 places all around. They should be calling him in any minute. That is for certain. It's unbelievable. The tyres go off that quickly if they're not right. Yet they started the race. They had no problem at all. Absolutely phenomenal.
Look at the way the Prost draws away from the Ferrari. That's how critical tire performance is.
Well, Michael must feel it by now. I mean, you've got a problem like that, boy. You know that you have a problem. That car should be sliding all over the road. There'll be a vibration through the car, an unmerciful vibration, and he'll be looking in his mirrors, and Michael Schumacher will be seeing the rubber flying off his rear tire. He's got to watch out it doesn't burst, in my book.
You saw Alain Prost watching the monitors carefully as his man goes by, the 2-time world champion. Michael Schumacher interrupted testing recently to accept Germany's highest award given to a sportsman, the Silver Laurel Leaf, which I thought was rather a sporting gesture by the German government, considering that Michael moved to Switzerland years ago to save as much as possible of his estimated $45 million annual income.
I thought you were going to say because he went to Disney World last week. I
think it was Ralph that went to Disney
World. No, they both
went.
went.
Oh, did they?
They all went with their managers and wives. Yeah, they all went and had a good time there.
I thought they heard the place was Mickey Mouse.
Something like that.
Where you saw the pass, pretty much unchallenged by Michael Schumacher, who draws into the pit lane. There'll be new tires on Michael Schumacher's high drama here at the Formula One Grand Prix of Canada. David Coulthard, the race leader, made a quick and surprise pit stop with a badly blistered left rear tire, and then stalled or perhaps broke something trying to exit.
He can't get in. He couldn't get his clutch to work, so they got the wheel up. They got it up on Jack spin the wheels, and they're going to drop him on the ground. Oh my goodness!
Huge crash.
Huge
for
crash.
Olivier Panis.
Goodness gracious, he's had a big crash there. Wherever's he gone? It didn't look like a tire burst on the rear to me. He's all right in there, but he's talking to his pits, and he probably would like to get out of that mess.
And he has pointed in the wrong direction on the racetrack.
That's going to bring out a full course yellow, that is for sure.
There's Michael Schumacher. As we went to break, we apologize for breaking away. Schumacher pitted with a blistered left rear. Does this mean we will have a safety car?
Yeah,
yes, we will. For the second time in this race. That may be a Formula One first. The safety car will come out, and we have a whole new ball game here in Montreal. Now, this was Schumacher's pit stop. Look at that left rear, Derek.
Absolutely blistering beyond recognition there. All over the road coming in. Hope he didn't break the speed limit. Comes in, and of course they're going to quickly change. Look at this Craxton. Here's Panis's crash. He lost it on the first part of that. In fact, coming out of the left-hander into the right-hander, he lost it, did like a tank slapper. You get hit on the head by those tires, boy. You know you got hit on the head. That is a major, major crash. They're helping him out of the car because he's obviously pretty hurt. Well, not pretty hurt, but I think he's hurt somewhat and no end stunned, because he's actually had those tires bounced all over the top, and they're truck tires. They're not little car tires.
Safety cars on the racetrack, actually approaching the scene of the accident right now. Pit action. Coulthard finally got back out. Oh, and it appears that Olivier Panis may have damaged his legs.
Well, he went in there pretty hard, didn't he? Got one way and then whipped the other, and like a whiplash into the wall with the front of the car. Yes, it did hurt him a lot. Of course, the poor guy then had to undo his steering wheel and trying to get himself out.
The safety car, the doctor car, will show up with local doctors along with Dr. Sid Watkins. Alain Prost on the right, Cesare Fiorio on the left, the sporting director for Prost's team. Which is ironic. Fiorio had a hand in firing Alain Prost from Ferrari a number of years ago. There you see the scene of the accident. Very high-speed section on the back side. Let's see what happened again. Let's see if it's tire-related.
It looked like it really was tire-related. He got out, look at that, and then he comes across headlong into those. He was lucky it was even tires that he hit. If those tires, look at them bouncing all over the top of the car. But he really went in there some. It's difficult to know just what happened there. The left rear of the car seemed to get out of shape, but it didn't seem that it was an excessive amount of out of shape. I can't believe it was a blistered tire that did it, necessarily. You can't see anything wrong with that left rear tire on the car. You can look over there now. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. Like he got on some dirt, got it sideways, backed off, and it then slid. Because once these cars do get out sideways, my goodness me, here's another shot. Here we go, he's on the curb, nothing much, turns in. Oh no, something must have broken. Because I mean, he just turned very lightly, and that was it. I mean, I can't believe that. I mean, this surely can't be the steering. It didn't look like there's anything wrong with the rear of the car. It didn't look like any wheel sort of got out of shape and steered it for him. But my goodness, it certainly slid him across the road.
53 laps complete. See medical officers arriving. Now let's pick up the action with David Coulthard. The man on the right, by the way, in the beige outfit is Dr. Sid Watkins from London. Now here is David Coulthard's pit. Look at his left rear tire.
Absolutely destroyed. Of course, we hadn't seen any of that. It's astonishing this should all happen at this end of the race, having driven half the race on one set of tires. He's done about 10 laps now, but mighty blistered tire.
Now this stop was only about 13 or 14 laps after he had pitted for fresh tires.
There's no reason for it at all.
Very surprising.
No reason at all. Now look, you see, he goes to getting, stops. He can't get into gear properly. And of course, this is a sequential gearbox. He can't exactly say, let me find another one. He's lost the gears. Then they put it up on the jacks and hope to spin the wheels, drop it off the jacks and let him go out. They obviously made it work because he's back on the track. And there, where is he? Can't see him yet, but he's somewhere out there. Not too many cars left at the moment, are there?
The first and second place cars pit. A clutch problem for the race leader drops him back in the order. Olivier Panis has a frightening crash into the tire wall on the backside. Alain Prost and Cesare Fiorio viewing the situation from the pit wall. Take a break and return for more of a dramatic Grand Prix of Canada. Back live in Canada, Alain Prost learns another hard lesson of team ownership. His man, Olivier Panis, has suffered a heavy crash, nose first, on the backside of the racetrack. Panis is on the track being attended by the medics. There you see the stretcher that has been brought out. They appear to be working on his legs.
I think they're just trying to check out. They're cutting the overalls back so they can actually check just how they're damaged. His legs weren't at an obtuse angle or anything when they came out of the car. But of course, though the front of the car isn't that badly damaged, the impact of actually hitting that wall is enough to really, jar your legs. So there's no room in those cars. However small you are, there is no room at all. They're so minute, there's no cockpit area whatsoever.
Yes, otherwise, we often see in these situations these drivers injuring their legs as they get banged around on the inside of the monocoque. Let's take another look at Panis' accident.
No, he doesn't kiss the curb. As he turns, the back just comes right round, and I can't see any maybe a drive shaft broke or something. It's really a weird, I can't see what happened there at all. I mean, he just turns right to go into the right-hander, and the back keeps coming round. And it isn't a corner that is a problem. I mean, they don't have any problems going through that section.
Well, the field, as it remains, is behind the safety car as work continues on Olivier Panis. We'll be back with more live from round 7 of the Formula One World Driving Championship. There is the running order. Schumacher now leads Jean Alesi, Giancarlo Fisichella, Heinz-Harald Frentzen. An interesting leaderboard. David Coulthard back in 7th after his stop. Grand Prix of Canada, where the latest twist in our story is a red flag. The race has been stopped with Michael Schumacher in the lead. You see Damon Hill has pulled up behind him, and Damon Hill is climbing out. It appears that Damon Hill feels that this race is over. It's Pedro Diniz. We're waiting for official word. Excuse me, Derek.
Sorry. No, I'm just going to say it's very sad, obviously, particularly for Olivier Panis, but particularly for the Canadians, after he had Jacques out there doing so, well in qualifying, and the race over so soon for him, and then to have the race finish like this is pretty darn bad for everybody concerned, and an awful way to finish a weekend.
Damon Hill and Jean Alesi talking things over. An amazing race thus far. David Coulthard, the race leader, pitted just before Panis' crash with a badly blistered left rear. Now Alesi and Schumacher having a chat. In so doing, Coulthard had a problem getting out of the pits, dropped to 7th place from the race lead before the race was brought to a halt. Now all of the drivers climbing out. Gianni Morbidelli, with his Sauber, brings up the back of the pack. The front wing has been torn almost completely off the car. Now here is Coulthard, who appears a little bit hot as he talks with an FIA official and with Michael Schumacher in the red overalls.
Well, I just think poor old Coulthard had just pitted for tyres. If he'd stayed out, he would have been in the front of this group with his tyres. I mean, we mustn't joke because poor guy got very seriously hurt there. But Coulthard's must be pretty peeved, because if he had hung on another couple of laps on his tyres, he would have been in a position to say, I've won the race. That was an intriguing situation with these tyres, though. I mean, how Coulthard could do half the race on one set of tyres with no apparent blistering whatsoever, gets in, does 10 to 12 laps, and they've gone already. Now, what are they doing now? Are they taking Schumacher up to the press room?
With 13 laps still to be run of the original 69 schedule, Giancarlo Fisichella waving to the crowd. It would appear, but once again, we have no confirmation, it would appear that this race may be over as Olivier Panis is taken away in an ambulance. He was lifted from the car and appeared to be conscious, talking with those around him. There are top 3 finishers, or at least top 3 runners when the red flag came out: Schumacher, Alesi, and Fisichella.
And they're walking towards the podium, so I guess that's it and all about it. There's one of the FOCA officials explaining what's happening. They can't make them go back and start again, surely. They must know the rules by now. So it looks like Schumacher will go up and receive the awards with the other drivers. That's it. For those of you watching, the reason they probably can't, in fact, continue the race was, of course, as the tyre wall was, although they could move the car fairly quickly, it was the rest of it that was the problem, all the tyres.
Well, another historic page in the 30-year history of the Grand Prix of Canada. We'll be back with more live from Montreal. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, there you see Michael Schumacher, who has won round 7 of the 1997 Formula One World Driving Championship. The crowd in the grandstands, a sellout crowd here in Montreal, still looking at one another in puzzlement. With 56 of 69 scheduled laps completed, Olivier Panis crashed his Prost Mugen Honda hard into the tire wall on the backside. The race was red flagged, and it has been called a complete race. There you see Giancarlo Fisichella in the yellow uniform, who finishes in 3rd place. Here's a look at the final results. Michael Schumacher, his 2nd victory of the year. Jean Alesi finishes 2nd. Giancarlo Fisichella, his best finish in Formula One racing, picks up the 3rd spot on the podium. Heinz-Harald Frentzen finishes 4th. Johnny Herbert 5th, and Shinji Nakano of Japan, his 1st Grand Prix World Championship point, in 6th place. After what has been a remarkable race for its twists and turns, David Coulthard, who led within 1 or 2 laps of the red flag in this race, had to come into the pits with a tire problem, mechanical problem while he was there, goes from 1st to completely out of the points. Pedro Diniz finishes 8th, Damon Hill 9th, Gianni Morbidelli in 10th place. Olivier Panis, despite crashing out of the race and bringing out that red flag, will be classified as a finisher, though he will earn no points. An absolutely remarkable race, and as you can see from the pictures from the pit lane, everyone looking at one another, wondering what is going on.
Yes, I must admit, as a driver, I must admit, it makes you just wonder just how they sort of cannot make a definite decision, and everybody should understand right from the pits, but there you go.
After 7 rounds, here's how the Drivers' Championship stands. Full points will be awarded for the race. Jacques Villeneuve crashed out at the end of lap 1, hitting the wall on the start-finish straightaway. Michael Schumacher moves back into the lead in the World Championship. Schumacher's win at the Monaco Grand Prix put Ferrari in the Drivers' Championship lead for the first time since Nigel Mansell won the season opener in his Ferrari debut at Rio de Janeiro back in 1989. Schumacher back on top by 7 points over Jacques Villeneuve. Olivier Panis in 3rd place. Eddie Irvine 4th. My apologies to Eddie Irvine. His physiotherapist is his sister. Yesterday I said her name was Sophie. It is in fact Sonia. Heinz-Harald Frentzen in 5th in the Drivers' Championship, but it is rapidly becoming a 2-horse race. There you see the rest of the top 10 in points. Tough weekend for Rubens Barrichello, Jan Magnussen, and the Stewart team. They came in with such high hopes. Barrichello qualified in 3rd spot, but dropped out of the race. And David Coulthard, with the race lead, a victory in hand to go with his win in the season opener on the streets of Melbourne, Australia, would have put him 3rd in the points had he won this race. But in the space of a lap or so, it all went away.
Yeah, well, that's it, Bob. It's the tyres. And we said that when this whole program started, the story is going to be tyres. I must admit, as it panned out, I didn't think it was going to be during the race, but how at the end, it was certainly the tyres. And you could say, well, Michael Schumacher was done by the tyres as well, because he had blisters on them. It's just that I cannot understand how the first set can work so well. When they put the second set on, they go off in 10 laps. I mean, Schumacher's tyres worked well for his first stint. Just amazing, really, that it should be quite so look at that twist on that chassis. But I'd love to know just why that car went out of control. But nevertheless, on the tyres, it was going to be the story all the way through, and it was the story. Nakano can't quite believe his luck. He's actually got a point. That's quite something. But he'll be a hero in Japan tomorrow morning, that is for sure. But nonetheless, it is the story of the tyres, and David Coulthard will obviously feel a bit, no doubt, bitter about that. But in reality, everybody had tyre problems, and that's why people burst tyres, that's why they fell out of the race, and so on.
Shinji Nakano talking with a Bridgestone tire engineer. You can bet there is a lot of that sort of discussion going on up and down the pit lane, as there will be in the days and weeks to come before the next round of the World Championship at the Manicourt circuit in France in 2 weeks' time.
They're not even getting the drivers in to have their weighing done. They've got to go in there and be weighed and go up to the press room. It looks like some of the gentlemen are ready up top, but they're not quite ready to go in and weigh the drivers yet. I mean, I guess they have to be ready. I would have thought they'd have been ready for the drivers to go in. The scales would have been there for several days. The problem is, of course, that the crowd out here just don't know how severe the accident was, and it always puts a little bit of a shadow over the proceedings.
To the podium they go as the crowd remains seated. Everyone's still wondering what is happening. But the fact of the matter is the race is over. National anthem of Germany plays in honor of its winner, Michael Schumacher. 24th career victory for Michael Schumacher, tying him for 7th on the all-time list with the great Juan Manuel Fangio. And now the Italian anthem for the constructors' winner Ferrari, their 110th Formula One Grand Prix victory, the most all-time among car makers. 5 more than McLaren, 11 more than Williams. For the Williams team, their 100th Grand Prix win remains elusive.
There'll be some questions asked by the Williams team after this. If they thought that Hill and Coulthard were playing around 2 years ago, they should look at the drivers, what they're doing to them now. You think of the criticism those drivers got last year from everybody? You think what Frenzen's doing? And also Jack not having a good time.
Now the awarding of the trophies. A somber atmosphere here on the podium, as well you might expect. Concern for Olivier Panis. We'll try to get you an update on his condition. And a race that ran well short of its conclusion brings Michael Schumacher the lead in the Drivers' World Championship. Jean Alesi picks up another podium. The season continues to take an upturn for the Frenchman, whose future with the Benetton team remains very much in doubt. And in third place, tip of the helmet to Giancarlo Fisichella, his first Grand Prix podium. He has every right to be pleased with himself and with what the Jordan Peugeot team has accomplished. The 30th anniversary of the Grand Prix of Canada. Races were not held in 1975 or 1987. First 11 at the Mosport Park circuit, not far to the east of Montreal. 2 of them at the Mont-Tremblant circuit to the north of the capital of Quebec. There's David Letterman, TV personality and great friend of ours here at ESPN. What a thrill for David.
I thought he could have worn a tie, Bob. I mean, after all, it is a special occasion, you know.
Well, you don't know of whom you speak.
I don't mind who I speak. We will have to dress up.
He wears Eddie Irvine fashions.
Yeah, more than that. No, they didn't spread around because they didn't give us the time to. It's very, very fine of them, I think, not to show too much emotion about the whole thing.
No champagne splash from the podium. Drivers head for the interview room. We'll take a timeout and return for more live from the banks of the St. Lawrence. In Montreal, here are the Constructors' Championship standings after 7 rounds. Ferrari in the lead over Williams-Renault, followed by Benetton-Renault, McLaren-Mercedes, Prost-Mugen Honda, and Jordan Peugeot. No word from the Prost
Michael,
team about what might have happened. Let's join the post-race interviews.
You must be very pleased with your second victory of the season.
Obviously pleased for the 10 points, but it's no point to celebrate this victory. It's a circumstance which I don't like to win races at. That's about it.
Going back to the race, your third pit stop, what happened there?
I went out after the second pit stop. I took it fairly easy on the tyres, but obviously I wanted to not lose too much ground to Coulthard and catch him at the end. I immediately picked up a blister on the tyre, so I had to come in again, take on new tyres, and then we all know what happened.
Did you think you would have been able to catch up with David towards the end of the race? Was that likely?
I mean, we both had the same problem. It would have been the case or matter who took mostly care of his tyres towards the end, may then attack. It depends very much, because this last set of tyre, I don't know whether this would have lasted to the end. The same probably for David.
Thank you, Michael. Jean, a second good result for you. You were third in Spain and second today, so again you must be pleased, even though it's difficult circumstances.
But, of course, but I completely follow what Michael said. We all a lot sad of what happened on Panis, and we hope he will be well and back in the car very soon. Of course, for the teams, it's always good to bring 6 points, and it's what it happened today, so that is okay.
Looking forward to the next Grand Prix, do you think there's a victory at home is possible for you?
We did a very good testing last week, and we are going there directly after the race. So probably our car will be very competitive, but to say I'm in a position to win, you cannot say that, of course. But we will be very competitive for sure.
Thank you, Jean. Giancarlo, your first appearance on the podium, a great result for you.
Yeah, big results, and this was my target for this season, so it's incredible for me. I'm very happy, but I'm not very happy for Panis accident.
Going back to the race, did you have any problems with tyres yourself?
With my second set of tyres, yes, some problem with the front right tyres, some blister, but everything okay.
Well done, Giancarlo.
Thanks.
Michael, now some comment on the race in your own language.
Well, as Michael Schumacher prepares to address his countrymen in his native German, which is the privilege of the winner of a Formula One Grand Prix, we'll take this opportunity to step away, but we'll be back with more live from the Formula One Grand Prix of Canada. Stand by. Welcome back live to a very subdued Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. In the background on the right, the Olympic rowing basin. Beyond it, the St. Lawrence Seaway. On the left, the casino here on the Ile Notre Dame. The attitude is subdued. Many people still in their grandstand seats after this race cut short by 13 laps after a huge front-end shunt by Olivier Panis, who was taken away in an ambulance, and there is some concern for his condition right now. We have no official word. He appeared to be conscious and alert, as everyone often says in these situations, when he was taken from the car, but then he was put in an ambulance on an IV drip, and that is the last we've heard. We've had a very subdued winners press conference featuring our champion Michael Schumacher, second place finisher Jean Alesi, and third place finisher and Formula One podium debutant Giancarlo Fisichella. There is a big music festival going on in Montreal tonight featuring James Brown among others, but right now it is very quiet here at the racetrack. Derek Bell.
Yeah, well, I mean, taking the race up to that point, I thought it was very intriguing race. There was a lot of incidents, lots of cars falling off the road, lots of tyre problems, and we did talk about those tyre problems from the beginning, and that's the way it panned out. Unfortunately, of course, we had the incident. I still can't understand quite why it happened. It looked like there must have been a failure on the suspension of the car or something like that, because the tyres looked in good shape at that point. Couldn't see any reason why he should lose control through there, because it's not a corner where you're actually on a ragged edge or anything like that. But it happened, and that's the way it goes. Unfortunately, that is motor racing, as we say, and we all know the stakes when we go into it. Nonetheless, it does put a subdued or a bit of a shadow over the whole proceedings. He didn't look desperately hurt to me. It looked like he's obviously hurt his legs pretty badly. but he was certainly conscious when they lifted him out of the car, because he's saying, like, thanks very much, don't lift me too much there. But they got him out of the car, and no doubt he was suffering from shock. But I think as far as the race was concerned, it certainly was a race for tyres. David Coulthard, in a way, has a right to be pretty upset that he stopped when he did. But however, I don't think if he'd stopped any later, he may well not have got around the track another lap, because he certainly had two very definite rows of blisters around his left rear tyre when he came in.
Well, the tire war occasionally has these sorts of consequences. We don't know that tires caused Panis's problem, but nevertheless, the race is over, and our story continues to unfold. In the 1997 Formula One World Championship, we'll leave you with a look at some of the highlights and lowlights of this race. Our next stop will be round 8, the Grand Prix of France from the Manicourt circuit. Let's hope the tires hold up better then. Until then, I'm Bob Varsha for Derek Bell and Jonathan Green. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you at Manicourt in 2 weeks. So long for now. From the circuit, Gilles Villeneuve on the Ile Notre Dame in Montreal, Canada.